Hey, we're live. All right. So, for anybody tuning in to the recording, the idea of this is just so that you guys can ask me questions about jewelry, which is what my channel is mostly about. You can ask me about games too. I do some of that content. You can ask me about investing because I'm very into that topic and want to get more into that. And there's another topic. Oh yeah, I have a degree in chemistry and I've done some gold refining, so you could ask me about that too. So those are the main things you could ask about. We'll see if anybody joins in. I might have to share this to somewhere. Oh. Let's see, yeah, it says I can share it. Okay. All right, so basically, just at work right now, and there's just no loads to take. I drive a semi-truck, and I'm just waiting. I just checked a minute ago, and there's nothing to do, so got a few minutes to do a live. I am concerned that there may not be any discoverability on YouTube. I'm gonna have to do this on TikTok, but I need more followers. So that's pretty funny. Alright, there we go. Yeah, the lighting's not great, but better than nothing. Yeah, eat a cookie. I'm getting to be a boring live. Nobody joins in. Okay. Yeah. Just me eating. Nobody comes to ask a question. Okay, just talk about some stuff that's on my mind. I have a truck driver come talk to me. Co-worker. negotiate our life. One of my bosses is here. But last I checked, there was nothing to do. That was like 2 minutes ago. One second. Oh, let's go to the restaurant. We're good. There's some, right in front of my truck, there's some honey buckets. I can show you. What the heck? Let's see here. Let's see. 2 honey buckets in the shipping door. And then my guy's truck. He just got in the honey buckets. But after that, he'll come and talk to me. Guaranteed. It's life. At work. Usually we're kind of running around a lot, but I had to slow down at this shipping facility, so we might not be running around as much tonight. Anyway, so, alright. One of my most popular videos is about jewelry marks, and it seems like people don't really understand. There's like a standard legalized set of marks that the governments around the world, mostly the United States, mostly England, some maybe Scotland and Ireland and Italy, but basically they try to set up international rules to basically establish what you can do and what you can't do for marks. And so, I mean, currently for the United States, it's like there's a handful of marks that are like legitimate, and the rest are either like the company's maker mark or the artist's maker mark, aside from, so like whatever carat value it is. So you can have a 14K, or you can have a 14KT. You can have it can do parts per thousand. So like if it was 100% gold, it'd be 1,000 parts per thousand. But oftentimes they'll add a little silver or copper or something to harden the metal, maybe some nickel. And if they do that, then it might be 700 parts gold, and then the other, or 750 parts gold, which is essentially 18 karat. And then the other, let's see if I can do math, 250 parts might be a mix of silver, nickel, and whatever else they decide they need to make the alloy do what it needs to do. And so there are a couple marks that are a sure thing when you see it on a ring, I mean, or other piece of jewelry. Usually, most of the time, if you see one of these like handful of legal marks, and you can go look up these statutes in the United States Code. If anybody wants to sell jewelry here, they have to put the mark on according to like the way we do it. If they want to ship it here. Now, if somebody brings it from another country on an airplane, they can't stop it, but if it's just like in their hand, you know. But if big companies are like selling here, it has to have certain marks. And so anyway, if jewelry doesn't have these marks, unmarked jewelry, and there's a lot of that actually. I bought a lot of unmarked 10 or 14 karat gold that's not marked well, but there's so much more plate out there it's unmarked plate. I mean, it's like the plated or brass things that look like gold probably are like 98% of things that are unmarked, and then maybe 2% are actually gold. And what I eventually learned, aside from some tests that I learned, is that you can tell by the scratching patterns and the color and the texture if it's worn old gold that's unmarked, or if it's plated. Gold plated things typically are shiny and like a darker gold color. If it's got silver in it, it's a lighter color, and usually I have more scratch marks. Okay, I'm getting interrupted.
No Jacob.
I don't know. We took Calpac had one, and I checked a minute ago. There weren't any transfers or anything. Yeah, he just told me to sit here and wait to see if something came up. Check once an hour or something like that.
They ain't doing anything in there.
I know, it looks pretty slow, to be honest.
Well, John said it's going to be slow until Thursday. Of course.
Yeah. I'm going to be off Wednesday, Thursday, Friday.
This week?
Yeah, and possibly Monday, maybe.
You already talked to Josh about it?
Yeah, we talked about it. I'd been telling my over-the-road person about it months ago, but they just ignored me because it was so far out. So...
Right. Usually if you tell them a week or so ahead.
Yeah, that's what I ended up doing. I was like, I better remind them that we got this thing coming up. But...
I can't sit too long anymore.
You can't sit anymore?
No, you notice I'm walking.
Yeah.
My back is tightens right up.
Oh, I should warn you, I'm live on YouTube right now.
You what?
I'm live on YouTube, so we're being recorded.
Oh, well, what did you do that for?
Oh, I just thought maybe somebody would want to ask me about questions about jewelry. So I've got a little YouTube channel about it.
Gotcha.
But they don't have any discoverability on their live, and so it's a watch, but maybe people will watch it after.
Maybe. Watch
me eat a cookie and talk about nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I know there's people making money on that stuff.
Yeah, I'm getting close. I had one of my videos take off once I started uploading some like gaming playthroughs. One of the other videos that I actually put real effort into, like, started taking off. It's like I put coins in the machine, and then it was like fed it over to the best video that I had. And so now I'm like, well, if I go live every week, maybe it'll do the same thing, feed more coins into the mystery box, and I'll get some more rocket fuel for my channel and actually make some money.
Yeah, maybe.
Maybe. You never know. So, any look.
Talk about, so I can't do anything like that.
I mean, girls would just get on there and sit there and be like, I'm pretty,
Yeah, well,
We can't really do that, can we? We have to be stupid, funny, or smart. That's our options.
Yeah, well, I'm either three.
Yeah, I feel that.
See what he thinks.
I think it's time to go home, even though it's kind of early for that.
Right.
But I don't know. We're just sitting around on our asses here. Oh, I shouldn't say that word while I'm live. But
right.
Anyway.
You warned me, and then you turn around and...
Yeah, well...
I'll let you get back to your other call.
Yeah, let me know if he says anything meaningful, like, go home.
Right there.
Oh, there you go. We'll have a powwow. Okay, so... my other driving buddy's here. So he might come talk to us, too. That'll be fun. Okay, so yeah, so anyway... so essentially you'll have a block of text on jewelry marks. You'll have one section that's like the carat mark or the parts per thousand, and that's it. And then you'll have a space, and then after that you'll have sometimes you'll have a company, like I could put my initials, like my initials are ADN, so I could put them right here, so I put 14 karat ADN. Okay. Now, sometimes, like with certain kinds of plate, like if it's silver gilt with gold, it'll be like 1/32 carat gold or something. Like it'll be like a big, like there'll be an obvious fraction, and then there'll be like just like, you know, a carat amount, or say gold plate or something like GP. They just use the abbreviations. GP though is tricky because it can be gold plate or it can be gold plum. I've found some things that were 14K GP, and they were gold, and I don't know why, because it should be plate, but maybe it's plum is the only other word that I could figure that could be, because they were gold and they passed all the tests, and I don't know, I bought them for gold because they passed. Now on to a new topic. So I have been studying stock investing for like 5 years now, or maybe more, maybe 6 or 7. Like I got introduced to it in college when I was doing economics and business courses, and I was fascinated by the idea of a bond or an annuity or something like that, that would pay you out a payment over time if you like purchased it, and I like the idea of stocks because they can kind of do the same thing. They can sort of pay you out a payment over time or accumulate value. I mean, to avoid taxes anymore, you just like believe in some, you believe in the value of the stock. Like it's not, I don't even know if it's real, but I guess you have your voting rights, and sometimes you get a dividend, or sometimes you just get increases in the price if it's growing well. But essentially, I've gotten to the point where on the long term, I can roughly tell what the long-term value of a stock is, and that's pretty much just based, I mean, there's kind of two ways to look at it. One is asset values, and the other is cash flows. And if the cash flows are growing and the margin is maintaining, some leadership likes to do naughty things with the margins. But nonetheless, if those things are, if the cash flows are the same or growing, and they sort of have an average, I like to know what the average cash flow is and the average price. Because then if you know what the average is for that company over a long period of time, if it starts going, you know, way above or way below, you know if you have an opportunity or the opposite of opportunity. Because in investing, if you pay too much for a thing, you just don't get any return, and sometimes you can lose what you paid. And vice versa, if you pay a low price for it, when it fluctuates the other way, you can make good compounding returns on compound interest with your money. So I mean, if you can make, you know, 10, 15, 20% because something just got, you know, went flash on sale and you picked it up in a size category that fits your money amount that you have to work with, your WAD, your bankroll. Oh, that's what they call it in gambling. Horse races, your bankroll. I like, what's it called? There's a guy called Kelly that developed a Kelly criterion, and basically it was like trying to figure out what the math was for betting, and if you have, like, to figure out if you have an edge or not, and if you do have an edge and you can estimate roughly what it is, how much of your bankroll you should bet on that one game based on your edge. And there's math, and it's kind of complicated. Well, actually it's pretty simple, but once you factor in like payout ratios and loss ratios, then it makes it not simple. So I'm into that, and between doing the long-term valuing and learning about the Kelly criterion and then learning about sizing positions. So like one problem that people often do, they'll be like, and I'm actually doing this right now with Bitcoin, with a little tiny bit of cash that I have in the market anywhere, is that they will put all their money on one thing, and maybe because of how risk works, it's a coin flip. Heads you win whatever it is, and tails you lose everything or part of what you have. And so, if you spread that out between 10 or 15 different things, and the upsides are a little bit better than the downsides, whatever that happens to be, then on average you won't do so bad. But if you put it all into one thing, you're basically risking the whole basket of eggs on one bet, and typically it's a bad idea. And the more money you have, especially a bad idea. Like when you're starting out with like a couple $1,000 like I am, it doesn't really matter that much. But if you've got like hundreds of thousands of dollars, then you need to split it up into at least 10 or 15 different things that you have a good sense are going to work with whatever strategy you're using. I got to try out, I learned a strategy on the internet from a guy that does YouTube videos. His name is Henry. He's a cool guy. He used to trade stocks a lot. And I would say not all of his videos are like he tries to cover like all the different ways. But he had this one way. So one strategy I like is called the wheel, and it's basically you own cash and you sell puts until you end up buying stock, and then you have to have enough cash to buy the stock, but you make sort of an interest payment on your cash until you end up being forced to take the stock at some lower price. And then on the flip side, once you own the stock, you sell options for somebody else to buy your stock, and you make money on those options that you sold, and until eventually you're forced to sell your stock when the price goes too high. And so that's the wheel strategy. But then I learned another one. Oh, we're getting interrupted. One sec. Yes,
wait
sir.
till 10 o'clock and bail if there's nothing in there.
Okay, so a 10.
There's only the one transfer I'm gonna take it.
Oh, you got one? Oh, there wasn't anything when I went a minute ago.
I walked in, the baskets were empty, and he handed it to me.
Oh, he just gave it to you. Okay, I'll check at 10 and we'll see what happens.
Okay.
Thanks. Okay, so where was I? Oh, yeah. So, all right. So the wheel strategy I like because you could do it with a stock that you know what the the average value is, and you could make adjustments as you go, and you could sell these options and make this extra income. And doing that, theoretically, not accounting for losses, you could make 50% a year doing that. And that's not accounting for gains or losses. So let's say it's slowly growing, and you make like 7 or 8%, just like sort of the normal amount of growth in a year. But on top of that regular average growth, you can make another like 50% selling options, getting into and out of the position, and that's the wheel. And I like that for bigger amounts of money. And you could do it on different sizes of stocks, different amounts of money. It scales pretty well for quite a while, like quite a ways up. And then the other strategy that I learned from this Henry guy was a little bit more complicated, but it was selling debit spreads and credit spreads. Now, I tried this out with $2,000, and what happened was in a month I made $150. Now, I split it into about 7 or 8 positions because that's sort of what I could size it to, because I had to find some smaller stocks that fit my cash, so to speak. And so I ran it for a month, and I watched the options fluctuate up and down. It looks totally crazy, and it's kind of hard to understand. And I had to pass a test. I had to call Robinhood, and they had to ask me all these questions about, like, if the option does this, then what happens, and if this happens, then how much money does that equate to? And like, you have to kind of know your stuff to try it even. And but I passed. They let me do it on the Robinhood app, and so Henry teaches you kind of how to space it out so that 85 to 95% of the time you these things expire worthless and you just collect the rent premium. But then the other 10% of the time they go outside of the price range, and so you need to close them down or do something else. And I had one position that I had to close out, and I did. I closed it out, and then that was that. And so I had some losses. Like, I could have made $200 to $250 in the month on the amount, and I ended up making $150. And I think on average I would want to do that again and again and again as many times as I can. Now, I had to move that money off to another project because I've been going through a divorce, which is kind of sad. But things are sort of settling down, and I'm starting to get my financial feet under me again, and I'll actually be able to build something for real now, probably, with any luck and the blessings of God on my side. So anyway, so I tried that strategy, and theoretically, before losses, that strategy can make about 100% a year. In other words, it can double your money in a year, doing credit and debit spreads either over or under the price of the stock. And ideally, if you had 10 positions, you would want 5 to be over and 5 to be under, honestly. Because, and the reason for that is just because if the market went extreme one direction, like everything, then it could wipe out like half your capital. Like, there is some risk there. You don't want to be totally stuck out, but because of the high amount of interest you could make every year, and I mean, you usually have a crash like every 7 years. We haven't had a really big one in, like, I don't know, like maybe 13 years. I mean, I think we're coming up on one soon with the interest rates high, and Japan not being able to maintain the value of the yen. That could cause some kind of catastrophic ripple through the system. But hopefully, with any luck, governments will figure out what to do. Maybe the U.S. will lower interest rates and take a little pressure off of Japan. And then again, maybe not. Maybe we're like, oh, we're worried about our inflation. I mean, we already inflated the money. We already doubled the money supply. So it's going to work its way through the system. Everything's going up in price. Like, it's already done. It's just a matter of how fast it works its way through the system. So that's that. Our government leaders decided to do what they did, and here we are. Just having to pay for it. I'm feeling it definitely in my pocketbook for sure. But needless to say, there's some really cool strategies. I mean, if you can compound, so a $5 Starbucks coffee compounded. Oh yeah, so without losses, that one strategy should make 100% a year. But I think with losses, it's more likely to make, 65 to 80%. So maybe we call it a 75% per year. So that's really good. Like, normally stocks only make like 7 or 8%. I learned that reading Benjamin Graham's The Intelligent Investor. Like, that's just what they did. Now, companies have been squeezing the labor out of people and not raising wages very well. And as a consequence of that, I think there are some stocks that grow a lot faster nowadays than they used to. And so it's actually better to be a shareholder now than it is to be an employee. Whereas before, it might have been the other way around, like back in the day. And so I think that's an interesting factor to consider, is that the pie is different now. Like, you got to know which part of the pie to be part of. And honestly, you need to be owning stocks or something that, maybe real estate's good too, because you can take like 10 grand and leverage it way up. And I mean, as long as you can manage to hold the property, if you have enough cash flow and or cash in pocket to keep hold of the property, it'll increase 5% a year, but you're getting 5% on, like, let's say you buy a $500,000 home. Well, 5% on that over the next several years, and you only put in 10 grand. I mean, your return's going to be really good on your 10 grand if you can survive it. If you can get it for a payment that, if you're renting it out, say, as an investment, I mean, you could do really good on that, and you get to write off a lot of your cash flow too. So you've got cash available for things. I mean, obviously it's for the repair of the building, but you don't always need it for that, and they still let you write it off anyway. And so, I mean, and then you can refinance it a bunch of times and borrow money for cheap when interest rates are low, and there's all kinds of things you can do with real estate. So I'm interested in that. What I really need is an industrial space that I can rent out to other people, but I get to use part of it for myself. That would be ideal, because it would let me do some of my entrepreneurial things. I've been thinking about maybe trying to set up like a biodiesel refining station. Like, I've done gold refining on a very small scale in the past, and that's fun, and I would keep doing it if I could. We could find enough feedstock to do so. We're going to get interrupted again. But I think recycling oils would be good. Well, thanks for that box.
Yep. Well, he knows about it too, so.
Okay. That's better.
All right.
Okay. See ya. Anyway, so I just think recycling vegetable oil into diesel is a good idea, and we should be doing it instead of just like putting it to waste or whatever, wherever it ends up going these days. And I've also thought that since you need some kind of methanol or ethanol anyway, that you might as well set up a little methanol or an ethanol station so that you can use that for your biodiesel, because you need it. And then you need a source of sodium hydroxide. I mean, here in Salt Lake City, where I live, I mean, we're just right next to a bunch of salt factories. I could get pallet loads of salt and make all the sodium hydroxide that I wanted to. You need that for the process too, a little bit of lye. So anyway, nobody's come on, and I'm feeling pretty bored. So, and I talked about the things that I want to talk about. Maybe you guys will watch this live later. You'll find it somehow and see all my random kookiness. Like, I was really relaxed today, really myself, which is good. I believe I am a little bit autistic or something, and that factors into a lot of the things that I do and say. I don't really know how to interact in some situations, but needless to say, I'm kind of hoping that I can keep growing my YouTube channel and do more videos, probably more jewelry videos. I think there's some more antique things that I could do. I think maybe there's some other topics that people are interested in. Could probably do some investing videos, because I mean, I would like to manage money, but there's some hurdles that are in the way, or I got to figure out which legal loophole I can use. So I either got to get certain licenses, or I got to do certain loopholes. So maybe with my company LLC, I can do one of the loopholes, or I don't know. We'll see. I'm just thinking about it. That would be, because I feel like I'm naturally good at it, but you know, he's telling me to go home. I guess we're done. Let's see, he's gonna talk to me. Hang on.
They ain't got nothing in there, so we can go.
Okay, is it 10?
It's 9:58 now, so.
Close enough.
2 minutes.
Yeah, what's 2 minutes? Alright, I guess we're done for the day. Made my money, go home and rest. Wake up again the next day and do it all over again. I want to get out of the rat race, let's be honest. It'd be nice to get this YouTube channel going better, and I think I know how to do that now. I've been really perplexed by it, but I realize that as long as I, you know, put out some content regularly, it kind of stokes the engine. So hopefully doing this live will sort of help do that, and the algorithm will just figure out what my best content is and push it out. So, you know, that's what it's all about. I worked hard on some videos and I didn't get really vindicated for it like back in the day, and YouTube's been pushing my stuff out and making money on me, but not really sharing. I kind of hope they share soon, so that would be nice. I made good money on their stock though when I owned it. I bought it at a certain price right when they were getting a bunch of revenues for, I think, their cell phones were coming out. They were making a ton of revenue on it, and their margins exploded for a while. I don't know if it's going to grow as much as it did at that time. That might have been a lucky fluke. But you know, we roll with the positive karma anytime we can, and we try to avoid that negative karma. So that's the thing. I'm not always perfect at that, but you know, this is part of life. Well, I got stuff to go do, so you guys have a great night. Subscribe to my channel if you haven't. Hit that like button, because we all know it needs good thump once in a while. And ask me some questions. If you got good questions for me, post them, and maybe we'll do a little live and try to answer the questions, see what we can do, see what we can figure out. So thanks, good night. I'm going home, go to bed, bye. Okay, let's see.